Hey everyone, happy April, and I can't wait to share some messages with you guys today with the Beyond Lemuria Oracle cards by Izzy Ivy, and they're just gorgeous. So we got them all here ready to go. This is going to be for everybody. Okay, we're all going through what we're going through right now in our own different way and figuring our way around things, etc. So as we move through the reading, of course, intuitively, a lot of advice will come forward, and I really hope that it's helpful to you. Let's focus on this brand new beginning, a brand new fresh start. Like pretending that today is a new day, in a new life for us. We're turning the page of the book and moving into this whole new cycle of awareness. And again, just wanted to point out that I do have my course available for you guys now. The Reiki course is available. Anybody can do it. It's about attracting, bringing in manifestations and the things that you want, and you get attuned to these energies, and you can pass this on to others as well. No need to be a Reiki master. So so the links will be below for certain things. And of course, Patreon, if you're a Patreon, you do get discounts on 2 websites as well as my courses. So it's only $5 a month to do that and get 10% off everything. So it's really worth it. Plus you'll get free webinars, you'll get free live channelings with me, deeper readings, upgrades, meditations, all kinds of stuff. You guys hear it first. So thank you so much to those who are patrons, and are looking forward to some new ones for the month of April. So with these Lemurian cards, because we've got a lot of ancient energy around us at the moment, and new focus on things, what we want to do is bring in something that's going to be of relevance for you as you move into April. Of course, I'm going to do other readings in April, and we've got a live show coming up on Friday. We got live shows. I'm going to be doing 12 days of live. 12 days live with me. And every day that I talk to you will be a different subject or whatever's happening for the day or whatever we're doing. But that'll start on, I believe I put it down for the 6th of April. Okay, so 12 days. You'll see me every day live for 12 days, and we'll see what sort of happens because of that, and what information begins to come through. So it's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to anything and everything, okay? So now I'm going to focus on a message. This is for all of us, okay? We don't have to worry about choosing number 1 or number 2. Let's just see what comes up. And hopefully you're going to be able to see the card. So we have the Infinite. Okay, this looks interesting. The Infinite. Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to read you a little bit from the book, just so we get an idea. The artwork is absolutely stunning. So I thank my friend Blaine for purchasing these and thinking of me when she got these for me. So thank you so much. Okay, the Infinite. The eternal life force, cycles of growth, rising from the ashes, many deaths and rebirths within one's life. You are so much more than your physical body. The beings in Lemuria are said to have lived for many hundreds of years. As they were only partially incarnated, their bodies were much lighter, less physically actualized, and less affected by aging. They were also aware of their infinite nature. The Lemurians were multi-dimensional beings and regularly traversed realms other than the physical, including the places before and after death. And as we become aware that we are so much more than our physical bodies, we may experience a sense of the eternal. Thus, fear around death gives way to recognizing new beginnings. So we remember what is real and focus on what we wish for this life. Whatever we believe will happen when our body goes back to the earth, we can live to the fullest while we are here in this incarnation. You may feel like you've led many lives and expressed different faces to the world. We can experience many mini deaths and rebirths as we allow outdated parts of ourselves to fall away. When we choose to align our lives with our spirits, we may find that we experience more of these mini deaths. They can be daunting, but are fast tracking our growth to prepare us for the shining new chapter that beckons. So, this is a card of rebirth, and it can appear after challenges that have required a level of surrender. You've arrived at a beginning. Yes, we have. How fantastic is this? Revel in your newfound inner freedom. Blockages have fallen away. Doors are opening, and there are opportunities to step into. Stretch your wings and see how far they can reach. Rise from the ashes like a phoenix, born anew, ready for a new cycle of growth. Celebrate, honor the road that brought you here, and prepare to take flight with the tools that you've gathered through your elevation process. So really, the eternal life force, the infinite energy, the rising from the ashes, the endings of situations, the negative energy that's been sent towards us, the people that think that it's okay to be cursing or psychically attacking us, and all of the things that we've had throughout our lifetime to deal with, as well as the issues that have come from past lifetimes, and the pain and the torment and the triggering and the desperation that people have felt, and abundance issues and energies with family and breaking away from friends and people talking about you and just attack on every level. And then understanding on the deeper levels of things that everything has to occur. Everything has to very quickly occur sometimes as well, one thing after the other, so that you can break down completely, which is like the mini death, having the shamanic death, where you may be seriously ill, or you're just in bed for a couple of days, or you feel like crying all of the time, or you feel picked on all the time and you just feel exhausted. Whatever it is, whatever mini death it is for you, it is needed to restructure your energy. You can't take all of your experiences of pain into a bright future thinking that nobody's going to know about it and you're just carrying it around. Your body knows about it. Your mind knows about it. You need to have compassion for yourself and forgiveness. We are moving into such rapid expansion right now that people are coming forward one after the other to show their true colors to you. Okay, if you're dreaming about people, you haven't let go of them, it's going to show up, especially if you're asking for enlightenment to occur. The job that I have for every soul that I feel, as much as I can do, is to help you with your enlightenment process, meaning accepting that you are already enlightened. If you can accept that, you are going to unlock so many doors it's not even funny. If you are still hesitant, doubtful, worrisome, pessimistic, skeptical, stressed, depressed, upset all the time, hating on yourself, hating on others, jealous, or just going through all of those different rage and anger emotions and giving into them, you're losing a part of yourself every time you do that. It's like the light is leaking out of you. Now, the energy here for the infinite is that we are ancient beings. Okay? Ancient beings. What you think that an angel can do, or a god or a goddess or an ascended master can do, you can actually do yourself. It's just that the programming and the conditioning and the stress and what our parents think and what society thinks and what our friends think and what exes think or whatever the hell anything else is thought of you gets in the way of your ability to see the magnificence of who you are. Now, I'm not talking about being egotistical and thinking that you're fantastic and you're the one, because if you're getting those kinds of messages, believe me, I've heard other people talking this way. It is not coming from the good side, okay? Because nothing that is full of light would allow anyone to be anything other than equal to each other. Okay, if there's someone is trying to make you feel like you're more special or you're more important or you're better or you're whatever, that's coming from a lower plane of existence. And there may be energy plays going on, bands of negative energy that are stuck in the auric field, which is a whole nother story. But in truth, in reality, you all have a mission to help others in this world. Whatever that is for you, maybe it's advocating for people. Maybe it's becoming a lawyer and helping people to get out of their situations. Maybe it's working with children. Maybe it's teaching. Maybe it's your spiritual path. Maybe it's healing, helping others to understand their own healing energy, helping others to understand how to, fix things in their life where they may have been feeling helpless. Maybe it's creative energy. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's speaking. Maybe it's a combination of all your favorite things. But whatever it is, there needs to be an element of happiness. I mean, happiness is the ultimate goal. When you understand the infinite energy of Source to assist you on your journey, the unconditional love that you've been looking for your entire life through people, and when you start to realize that people can only have a small fragment of what is available for you when you open up your arms to the divine properly. When you start to understand that, the revelations that you're going to have are going to be absolutely monumental. The moment of awakening for myself, when I finally understood, oh my gosh, there's nothing that I can't do, be, or have as long as I hold a vision of success for myself. It was like I cried and cried and cried. I'm thinking, here I was my whole life. Stupid Becky, useless Becky, can't do anything. Ha 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 ha, laugh, laugh, laugh. Ha ha ha, who does she think she is? And all that sort of crap that you get when you're little, and you get it from your parents and you get it from other friends. I was the one that was in one line and the whole class was in the other line. I was bullied like you wouldn't believe. And just because I didn't look good, because I didn't have anything, right? If I showed you a photograph of myself at 11, you guys would all be shocked, mortified, how my mum used to let me get around. Because I didn't know anything else. I just had what I had. Just like many of you. You just have what you have. You don't know. You don't understand the love of the divine. You don't want to have to stop any part of your life and be spiritual, because some people make you feel like you have to suddenly become a monk or something to open up your spiritual pathways. So you're like, oh, well, there goes the parties. Can't stop. I can't have a party anymore because I'm spiritual. No, that's a load of rubbish. I can't do anything wrong because I'm spiritual. No, that's the old programming. That's religion. You're a sinner right from the start when you're religious. Okay, you're in trouble anyway when you're religious. Spirituality is supposed to be freedom of belief, freedom of your life, freedom of manifestation, freedom of having a life, adventure, fun, doing what makes you feel great without hurting anybody else. That's the key, right? It's not about restriction. That comes from people's rules. Spirituality does not have a restriction. It's been forced in that direction, okay? But it doesn't naturally have that. You all have stood, at the winds of birth, as they called it. And the angels surrounded you and said, are you sure you want to do this? And you're like, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've got to be there. You came to this planet, not about money, not about being successful and famous and all that sort of stuff, although that can happen just because, all right? But you came here with a mission to change the energy of the world. You are a portal of light on this world, in the world, okay? You're not nothing. You've got a huge, huge, huge mission of maintaining that energy, of maintaining that portal of light by sharing it by your actions, sharing it with the words that you use, assisting people energetically. Don't always have to say something, because some people don't ask for things. They don't want to ask for help. They don't want to ask for messages. You don't just go around randomly giving messages to people who come across your mind or something. It's about focusing your energy on the universal healing energy, on infinite source, taking care of things, of light winning, which it already has, even if it doesn't seem like it. That you're calling in your ancestors, your guides, your loved ones, your light team, the beings of light, the cosmic physicians, the divas of healing, the masters, the ascended masters to support you. Do you have to know everything? No. Do you want to have to know everything? Because that would be mind-blowing. Right? We're always constantly learning, and it's filtering in. Because if we were born with the memories and the visions and the emotions of every single past life, even though it's within us on a cellular level, can you imagine actually having knowledge of it all the time? Okay, we'd just give up, all right? We'd probably give up in week 1. That's that. Overload, So our life is about uncovering mysteries, uncovering information, getting to know yourself as an infinite spirit of light on the earth. I don't care who you are. You have a mission. I don't care what you think you've done. I don't care how you think that, oh, I can't do that because such and such knows this and she knows that, or he knows this and he knows, and I can never be that. God, that is a joke. I used to sit there thinking, well, there's so many authors around. Who's going to listen to me? Well, there's so many people doing YouTube way back in the day in 2009, 2010. So many people doing YouTube. Who's going to find me? And in the end, I'm like, it's not even about that. Who's going to do what? It's about the message. Okay? You know by now that I share from the heart. I put myself right out there. There's things in my own past that I am not pleased with, that I am not happy with. But at the same time, it feels so far away from me, so detached and so distant from all of the healing that's occurred. It's like, I don't know, it's like it never even happened. Whatever happened in my past, it's like it never happened. In fact, the only time I have to bring things up or I'm resonating with someone is during mentoring or doing these readings for you guys. Because a memory will pop up or a situation will pop up and how I dealt with it. I'm not saying that I have all of the answers, but I can guarantee you this. Anything that I say to you comes from a place of absolute caring and unconditional love. No judgment at all. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, okay? There's nothing that would surprise me with anything that's happened in your life. But the guilt and the stress over it and the pain and the punishing of yourself, that is the real issue, not what's happened to you, not what decisions you've made, not what's occurred in your life or who you trusted when you shouldn't have, and why someone's betrayed you and what their motives are. That doesn't matter. What matters is what's happened to you on an emotional and psychological and spiritual level that has led you to have disbelief in miracles happening for you, disbelief and despair at the world, because you're not seeing what you thought, not seeing what you thought you'd be seeing right now. So people give up, right? People get tired of waiting for the goodness to arrive, or miracles to occur, or the angels to show up. One of the biggest things is that it's not always about us. When something seems to be delayed, perhaps it's because there's other factors, people, situations involved that also need healing and growth and change too. So you shed light on any area of your life that holds any kind of darkness or, insecurity, or you don't know, you don't have an answer. You just ask for light to be shed on it, for the speeding up of events, for people to come to a realization on their own. You can't make anybody see, feel, or believe what you believe, especially if you're not living by an example of it. I spent 2 full years of my spiritual journey years ago where I completely gave up on it. I got so sick of it. I stopped talking to my angels, guides, love, anybody. I did not want to know a thing. I completely thought, well, I'm going to see what happens in my life with the absence of my positive thinking, the absence of any guides or anyone anywhere near me. I kept them right away. And oh my God, one thing was that I went into self-destruct mode. Without having to go into everything, I was going out way too much. Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, sleeping all day Sunday, going to work Monday feeling like crap, and then couldn't wait till Thursday night, because then it was, Thursday night was going out and having fun. And then, Friday karaoke or whatever. Friday night was going to the pub, and Saturday night I was going to a pub, and just destruct. And it just went on. I got into a bad crowd of people that I wasn't even going to try to help or anything, because I was just away from it all. It was terrible. And many things were done at that point where I was unprepared for. Many things fell apart in my life, even worse than ever. And I spent most of those 2 years in, like I said, in self-destruct, crying, and like a robot, just going from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next, from one thing to the next. And I finally snapped out of it, right? There was many things that occurred. One of the things that occurred that I'm going to share with you right now, and I don't mean to say this to my dear friend who, she's still my dear friend to this day, but her ex-husband, he came to my house. I'm going to tell you this story. He came to my house and he knocked on the door, and I was at home by myself with my boys. My 2 boys were there. They were younger at the time. And he said, "Becky, you've got to come really quick. It's my friend's name. I'll just say it's Jay, okay? Her name is Jay. It's Jay, you've got to come. I think she's having a heart attack." And I'm like, oh my God, like straight away. This was my really good friend, and her husband was coming to get me, thinking that there was a medical emergency. I just grabbed my bag and I just told the boys, okay, I'll be home soon. Just keep TV on, keep the front door locked, whatever. And I just ran off into the car. And I got into the car and I noticed that we were driving in the wrong direction to the house, but I didn't know, he didn't actually say she was at home, so I wasn't even thinking. And so we were driving along, and suddenly, at the time in my life, I was going through a court case with my youngest son. And he turned around and said to me, "Look, I've been approached, I've been offered money to make it so that you and your 2 boys are going to get in a lot of trouble in the family court." I don't want to disclose exactly what it was, but Okay, let's just put it that way. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. And I've been offered $10,000 to make that happen and to swear into court about these things. And I just went into total shock. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, like, what the hell? You know, just take me to Jay, you know, my friend. Just, I don't know what you're going on about. And why would you do that? You know, what the hell? You know, I was just in this realization that this was really not a call for my friend at all. This was something completely different. And he continued to drive and drive and drive. And I'm like, oh my God, we are going out of town right now. We are out of the city. And I know that this is a place where I used to live. I know it really, really well, like the back of my hand. I knew exactly where we were at the time. I noticed that I was locked in to the car as well. I was trying to take notice of every little thing. For some reason, all my senses just kicked in. He turns out onto a highway, which is quite secluded, and then turns into what we call in Australia the bush. You only go into the bush in this particular area when you're camping, say for example, or in this case, when there was a dead animal or something that this guy would normally bury out here. Do you know where I'm going with this story? So driving out there was mud. I was paying attention to every little detail and trying not to upset this guy who was obviously nuts for some reason, had some kind of mental break, had been on some kind of drugs, which you could tell because of his actions. And he suddenly, he's driving real erratically out in the bushland, and he suddenly pulled into this one little spot. Nobody was around, not a thing. And I was calling Archangel Michael in my mind. And he leaned right over into my personal space and said, don't worry, I won't take the money if you sleep with me. That's what he said to me. And at that point in time, I was in absolute shock of what was going on here. And I asked Archangel Michael to be with me. I was in the middle of nowhere. This was back in, you know, before there was a lot of cell towers, etc., especially out in the bush. And I had my bag. Remember, I grabbed my bag when I left the house. I had this old phone, one of the first Nokias I think there was. And the thing started ringing, right? So he's in there, in my personal space, doors are locked. I'm in the middle of nowhere, in the bush. And my phone starts making a ringtone. So it wasn't actually ringing, but it made a ring tone. And he said, oh, so you've got your phone with you? And I'm like, yes, I have. And I'm grabbing and I'm reaching for my phone, like in my bag, right? It's still doing its ringtone thing. To this day, I still don't know how the hell this happened, other than the angels helped me. And I just said to him, no, I could never do that. I could never do that. You know, do what you got to do. I could never do that. And because of my phone ringing, he decided to pull out of this area, this secluded spot. I guess he gave up for a second. And I'm like, you know, like, oh my God, like in shock. The whole thing was just shock movements. And he drove a little bit further and stopped again. And I'm like, oh my God, now he's contemplating stuff. So I'm praying. I'm like in my mind, I'm saying goodbye to my children. I'm saying goodbye to everyone, telling them all how much I love them. I'm trying to unlock the door without him noticing. And he's sitting there and he starts going into his pocket. And I'm like, oh my God, here comes the knife. You know, it's all happening. And all of a sudden, just like that, after the whole ordeal was over 2 hours, after that, he just said, okay, well, we'll go then. And I said, look, I'm not going to tell anybody. Look, come on. You know, you don't do this. You don't need to do anything. And he just ended up just driving me home, letting me out. Oh my God, like the whole thing was a nightmare. And I fell into 1,000 pieces, of course. My children had no idea what happened. I went straight into my own bedroom, just shut the door and just, whoa, you know, lost it. And I didn't know what to do because this was my friend's husband, as I said to you. So I thought the best thing to do was to tell her exactly what had happened. And I rang her and I thought, well, this is going to, she's either going to not believe me or she's going to believe me. So I know I'm telling the truth. So here's the story. And I said to her, we were out bush. And I said, there was all this mud everywhere. And she goes, stop right there. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. And she's like, mud everywhere, hey? I said, yeah, it was all out, we're out bush and it was all, just muddy. And I was telling her that I was remembering the sliding of the car and stuff. I said, so there's probably like mud all over the car. Like that. She goes, you know what? She said, I came home this afternoon because I wasn't home. She said, I came home this afternoon and, there was a ring of mud all around the car where, he'd sprayed it down with the hose. So I'm like, oh my God, all the hairs prickling all over my body. And the kids had said to her, she said, where was Dad, today? And she goes, oh, the kids are like, oh, something died. So he went out to kill it, to bury it out bush, which was me. I was going to be buried out there, so she just knew. She just knew. And she just was like, I believe you. I believe you. And that was a whole nother thing where I just broke down, The police came and they issued a stalk warning because I got in the car with him because it was false pretenses. They issued just a stalk warning. But when this happened in my life, right, when that experience occurred and, telling you guys about it, some of it is still sort of like, oof, But it's like when it occurred, you think to yourself, why was I not protected? Why did this happen? Why did this have to happen? And you're always protected, of course. Look, my phone rang in the middle of the bush, in the middle of nowhere. I was able to talk my way out of someone who's merciless and someone that has no mercy, especially when it comes to, wounded animals, right? or just burying something out bush and thinking nothing of it. This is the sort of person, a lot of people are like that. They'll just kill a deer and that's that. They don't think anything of it. And he was just going to take care of me like that. And I believe he was offered $10,000 to do so. And it was a big bone of contention throughout, my journey with my youngest son and court cases and all those sorts of things, because it was just laughed at, when it was a real terrifying experience and one of the worst experiences, in my life. And it really, really, even though it didn't seem like it at first, going through all of that fear and going through all of that why kind of energy reactions, it brought me to this deeper level where that old me died away and this younger version of myself really came forward. A newer version of myself, a stronger version of myself. Knowing that I went through something like that, I could get through anything. And keeping my wits about me in a really, really strange, horrible situation, I was proud of myself for doing that, instead of falling apart and screaming and, carrying on like I'm sure a lot of people would in that situation. Having a friend who I'm telling the story to, and it was her husband, understand completely the truth and seeing it was such a relief as well. And also understanding that I wasn't being punished in this situation, that there's probably more than likely 1 or 2 or 3 lines of karma that were being erased right at that time. And that was that, that needed to occur to bring me into appreciation more completely of life, and to get rid of that 2 years of forgetting about, angels, spirit, everything. And it led me into a determination like never before to be of service and to try to help, So I know that story is, maybe for some of you, you've had something similar happen, or a situation occur like it, or you've been in a domestic violence situation, or in a, I apologize for any triggers that might have occurred. In fact, I don't know why the story, I didn't plan to tell that story, of course. It's one of many, many stories that are pretty scary and horrific as well. But it didn't, it didn't stop me. I think that sort of thing could have stopped me if I was younger or much younger. I think that I could have been very angry with spirit for a really long time, but it actually brought me into a realization, and like this card says, of the infinite energy that's around us that we really have no idea of. And we're tapping into only a tiny piece of that, for ourselves and our life. There are going to be instances in your life that you really don't understand why it had to happen, okay? You really just don't get it. And I totally understand that, on so many levels. But the bigger picture is that each and every one of us have a blueprint of some kind that we come in with, that we refer to our angels with and sit with them meticulously before we come into this lifetime, and mark out those experiences that we've had, and even the worst experiences that we've had. One, to erase any karmic energy. Two, to help us to really accelerate our awakening. Three, to help us to become stronger and grow more confident. Sadly, those lessons are repeated many times throughout our life until we decide to change how we react to those situations, until we decide to embrace all that we are, not what others think we are. See what there's a big difference. Until we decide that we are of utmost importance in life, and that if we treat ourselves as divine light, as divine beings of light, if we treat ourselves that way, then it really doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, because everything is instantaneously repaired. Do I wonder sometimes what was really behind the scenes? Every now and then, of course. You wonder, can't you angels just tell me why the hell that he did that? But that's their cycle too. I'm sure after that occurred, there was differences that happened in his life also. That was for him, he could have been arrested. That was a near, catastrophe for his own life. Maybe it woke him up in some way, who knows? Don't really want to go there. But sometimes we want answers that we are not going to get. And we have to be okay with not receiving everything all the time as well. That can be a whole nother side of the coin. It's just not getting closure sometimes that you might need. So you have to give it to yourself. Now, I know that this video is long and drawn out, I guess, telling you a bit about myself in a different way, showing you how, even though it was one of the worst situations, there's always a way out. There's always a way forward. There's always support. And even if I were to die at that point in my life, and I'd said goodbye to my children, I actually sat there being okay with that. It was almost like I had accepted it. And that's when the moment where everything changed, where suddenly we're driving off and I'm like, what? Okay. Like, thank God. And you know what I mean? So sometimes once you accept things really completely in your life, only then does everything begin to change into a new dimension for you. Now, this was many years ago for me. This happened before I started doing Divine Miracles online and all of that stuff. And since then, a lot of things have changed, of course, and wouldn't be who I am without some of these experiences, right? So I'm glad for every experience, you know, where I've faced something horrendous and managed to survive. You've done the same thing. You've faced horrendous things in your own life that nobody knows about. Some things nobody knows about. Nobody knew about this one until I told you all, right? Some things nobody knows about, and they're your stories. But you're here. And for the month of April, as you open up this book in your life of knowledge, and you decide to turn this page where nothing's ever been written on it before, and you move through April, I hope that every month is a bright new beginning for you. I hope that you have knowledge, understanding, manifestations, abundance on every level. I hope you have realizations and health restored, healing on every level. And I hope that you come to an understanding of the infinite possibilities that are around you, the infinite love from the divine. That's all you really need. And the more that you awaken to this, the more things that unravel. So you catch on to something, something will unravel. You'll catch on to something else, it will unravel. We'll be doing this for the rest of our life, which is great. You know, it means that we're on a learning journey of endless and infinite possibilities. So I hope that this was helpful to you, okay? And I'm sending lots of love, of course, to everyone. Hope that you guys will take my courses and become a patron so you can learn more. All the links are going to be below or in the descriptions, okay? And until the next time, many, many blessings, lots of love, and goodbye for now. Bye.